Hi everyone, it's Louise from Property Education Company. I'm delighted this afternoon to welcome Tom Hals. Tom, welcome.
Hi, Louise. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Tom is an architect who helps people specifically in an assessment prior to auction or prior to developing a site, which I thought might be useful for our clients to have a review and see what he does and how he goes about it. So, Tom, would you like to first up tell us how you got into architecture in the first place and what you've been up to?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Louise. Thanks for the introduction. I love being creative, and it's that drive of being creative that led me to searching something in the creative fields. And I was thinking cinematography, but I landed on architecture because it really can shape people's sort of perception of the space and living in the space. And yeah, just want to help them with that. So that's kind of what drove me into architecture.
That's gorgeous. As opposed to cinematography, that's a big difference, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's still about creativity. Marketing was another one actually I was interested in, but yeah, I thought let's try architecture first, and yeah, loved it immediately and kept going with it.
Ah, that's awesome. And so, how long have you been running your own business?
And started about 4.5 years ago. So I'm initially from Belgium, came here in 2004, and then worked for various architecture firms over the past couple of years until 2017 decided let's try something on our own.
Go you. God, just before COVID. But building's the thing at the moment, so you're in the right space probably.
Yeah.
Tell us about your service that you offer for developers and all people looking to, do an assessment on a building, a property before buying at auction.
Yes, definitely. So there's a couple of things we sort of focus on. We do predominantly renovations and extensions, also new homes, knockdown rebuilds, that kind of thing, holiday homes. But today I want to talk particularly more about property development. And what we offer as a package to anyone who's interested in property development is a package where we assess the site that they're interested in buying, or they may have already purchased the site. And then based on what we can find from the planning zoning, from knowledge about construction, and also what the client has told us in terms of the brief, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom units, that kind of thing, how many that they're thinking of getting on there. We'll sort of take it away and form a bit of an opinion, create some drawings and a mud map with areas to figure out what actually that yield can be on that particular site, which helps developers greatly because they can already assess what the potential is of their site even before they go to auction, which means that they can set their price based on what they've seen on the study that I've done.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you've got an example to share with us. Do you want to share your screen and show us,
Yeah,
please?
it's definitely not a problem. Share my screen now. So on the screen, I just took away all the identifying items such as street names, etc., just because I want to keep this private. But this was a site for a client who owns sites number 23 and 25, as you can see on the screen. And he wanted me to look at what it would be to develop either the two sites together while keeping the existing buildings, or developing one site before the other, or knockdown of everything and then basically build over both sides at the same time. So I'll just show you the example of what we came up with. So the first one is looking at keeping the two front units. So we've used the title information as part of section 32 as the background, so we know where the easements are as well. So in this case, we keep the two units, but we were able to prove that you can do an extra 3 units at the back, and they're all 3 bedrooms, which you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. Top area gives you a bit of side information, but it's more important to see the areas of the units themselves. So a developer can then understand, okay, well, it's the unit 3, let's say, is 199 square meters. It's going to cost us X amount to build, but because it's 3 bedrooms in that area, we can sell it for X amount. If you know sort of the market a little bit, you can guess that really accurately. So based on that, you can already see what your profit margin is going to be based on what you want to purchase the site on as well, which is valuable information before you go to auction.
Totally, because with the way building costs have been, revving out of sight, and lots of builders going to the wall just because they can't complete fixed price contracts. The lenders have told us how worried they are,
Yeah,
about this area. So it's really all the really important information is right here before you get
yeah,
going. Yeah. So
yeah,
show us.
definitely.
Yeah, go.
I do have to put a little disclaimer in there as well that this is a more of an educated guess. It's not 100% accuracy because there are always unforeseen things once you go through a planning application that council may highlight. That's like in particular in neighborhood context and character analysis. That may be a bit different depending on the area. So, but it's at least a good guess that that's something that you should start off with council, start up the discussions to see if you can do something like this. So this actually shows you can build over an easement, but it just means you have to go through the process of building over an easement. And the client did inform us that that easement is actually decommissioned, so it's actually nothing in use anymore. So we took that into account as well. But yeah, without further ado, I'll do the second option where we looked at developing the bottom unit first while keeping the existing front building, but creating a new garage at the back, and then also having a new unit along the back, which means you get 2 units on the one side. You can then sell them off, and then with that money, then proceed later down the track with a phase 2 on the second part, which is the top part of the site. So I've shown on the top part of the sites, probably knock down the existing building and create 3 units so that you can get a total of 5 units across 2 sites. But it is phased compared to the first option, the way it had to do it all in one go. So it gives a bit more options for the developer as well to see if they wanted to do it that way, depending on the cash flow or depending on what they've got availability and time as well.
And cash flow, it's just managing how they're keeping going. That's part of the problem, isn't it? Often.
Yeah, you could decide not to take the risk and just develop the first lot. And if it's sold well, then straight away go for the second one. If it didn't sell well, then maybe you tweak it a bit or wait until the market moves up, that kind of thing. So it gives you a lot of flexibility.
Great.
And last option then?
Yeah, go. Show us more. I think it's fascinating.
So yeah, for the last option, we just looked at knocking down the whole site, starting from scratch basically, and developing as many units as you can get. So this one has 3 bedroom units, but also 3 two-bedroom units, so a total of 6 units. Car parking works out, side areas works out, garden area all works out. Everybody's got enough garden space. So these things are all sort of ticked off. You do see the hatched areas along here, which are potential overlooking, but it depends on how you treat the first floor windows as well. So they may have to be frosted or obscured or oriented a different way. So it's just one of the things that you just need to be mindful once you proceed later down the track. That it doesn't mean you can't have a first story, but it just means you got to do a couple of things to make sure that we're not overlooking your neighboring properties. But yeah, lots of information there for the developer to sink their teeth in and to make an assessment on how they want to proceed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So, Tom, how do people contact you?
Good point. So I've got a website. It's Studio Hals. You can see my name just up here.
Yeah.
Studiohals.com, just a .com. So you got all the information, my contact details as well, or my email is tom@studiohals.com.
Oh, that's a good easy one. No problem.
Yeah, happy to take any queries from anyone.
Thank you. Fantastic. Well, thank you for talking with me today and great for sharing that. And if anyone wants to get some help prior to buying, which is the most sensible time to get it, not when you think it might work. Yeah, because then you've got a much better idea of what loan you might need before we get going too. And that's great. Your plans, they could take that to council and get the conversation started to see whether it's even worthwhile and council would agree, get an indication from them whether they should proceed. So well done.
Yeah. I would recommend if you take to council that do go with a professional as well. Take it to council because they know, like a town planner or an architect can help you with those discussions with council because they know the planning code quite a lot because they work with it every day. And that's something we offer as well. So this is more sort of an introduction, but we can obviously take the project all the way to the end of construction if that's what the client wants to do.
Brilliant. And for that initial cost, give us what's your range for the charge for that?
Yeah, so it depends on the size of the site, but also on the shape. Because if it's a rectangular site with, or let's say just a single site, that's relatively straightforward and not too much headache. If it's a bit more with angles, it's a bit harder to plan those sort of areas. So it ranges between 500 to 1500 plus GST. So the only thing developers need to let me know is the address and I can figure out what the fee is going to be.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for speaking with me. All the very best. Have a wonderful Easter.
Wonderful. And thanks for having me, Louise, and thanks for the opportunity.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.